I smashed a divot in the road so hard, it was definitely a carbon cracker. And my freaking front wheel isn't even out of true. It's perfect, it's still in true. So, amazing. Hey everybody, it's Dylan with The Seasoned Bikepacker, where I share unbiased reviews, tips, tricks, and general information about bikepacking gear, routes, and strategies. Today, I'm continuing my bikepacking gear review series. If you haven't had a chance, go check out my last gear review video where I covered a super high quality handmade frame bag from a company called Dispersed Bikepacking Gear. As I navigate through the growing number of bikepacking and cycling companies, I've tried to vote with my dollar and buy from companies who align with my values. I want to promote companies that offer durable products with great value, competitive pricing, and solid customer service. Biking and bikepacking can have a financial barrier for entry for some, so I aim to prop up companies who provide better accessibility, which will help grow and define the sport. Today's video is all about the wheels I purchased for my titanium hardtail, which I use for my bikepacking adventures. My wheel situation was a hot mess with different internal rim widths on each wheel. I have nobody to blame but myself for doing some eBay impulse purchasing, and this led to all sorts of issues trying to achieve a similar tire width. So after a couple years of tinkering around with this, I finally decided I wanted to upgrade to a proper matching wheel set and started to ask around some of my friends in the bikepacking community. My good friend Billy McMillan, you might have seen him on Track Leaders as Billy the Kid, was ranting and raving about some wheels he bought from a direct-to-consumer company called Light Bicycle. Knowing Billy's eye for quality equipment, I bought a pair, mounted them up, and ran them through the bikepacking gauntlet. Six months, 750 miles, and 2 gnarly, muddy, sandy, wet bikepacking races later, I'll share with you what I bought and why, my pros and cons, and my overall impression of Light Bicycle. Links for everything I mention are always in the description below, and if you like this content, please support me by liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. All right, let's get this thing rolling. For the upgrade, I had a rough idea of a few wheel wish list items. I wanted carbon, at least 30mm internal width, lighter weight than my current pair, and to keep things all within my budget. I was also very interested in a potential for a lifetime warranty. As I've upgraded components over the years on my bikepacking rig, I've opted to pay a little extra for the lifetime warranty. With all the wear and tear from bikepacking, I'm sure it'll come in handy one day. So I hopped on the internet and started diving into the Light Bicycle website. The first thing that caught my attention was the custom wheel builder tool. The simple tool allows you to select each component detail, and it shows you the total cost and weight with that combination of components. They also have these little information buttons you can click to expand for more info. I found it quite useful when figuring out what hub I wanted. Okay, let's take a little detour and talk about hubs. I'm a big fan of DT Swiss hubs and their legendary star ratchet system. In 2019, their patent expired on this technology, and other brands jumped in on the design, forcing DT Swiss to redesign to their new Ratchet EXP standard. The system is lighter and has less components, so it's easier to service. This is all awesome until I heard a rumor about hubs with this new design that were failing. So after skimming a few articles on the internet and looking at the DT Swiss maintenance notice, it appears to only have affected a specific production run and can be serviced free of charge. This seemed to kind of freak people out, but in my opinion, you gotta cut companies a little bit of slack when they completely overhaul their product design. Sometimes shit just happens, and I still have full confidence in the DT Swiss products. So that said, I opted for the DT Swiss 240 EXP hubs. I think they're the perfect balance between weight, performance, and price. So I finished off the rest of my desired specs, and I was pleasantly surprised to see I could add a lifetime warranty for $100 more per rim to the Recon Pro series. I got to the final recap screen, and just before hitting the buy now button, I decided I wanted to discuss my setup with a customer service rep. So I used the chat feature and was pleasantly greeted by an extremely knowledgeable staff member. Shout out to Tatiana. We talked a little about my bike frame and what type of riding I'd be doing. She confirmed some of my choices and provided suggestions for others, mostly to speed up parts availability from their different warehouses. I got my order paid for, in production, and before I knew it, it had arrived at my front door. The packaging was clean and secure, and the wheels were immaculate. There's only one thing better than new frame day, and that's new wheel day, because you get double the joy. Now it was time to put this wheel set to the endurance bikepacking durability test, which is arguably the most damaging type of riding for bike parts and components. My first event was the Stagecoach 400 Ultra Endurance Race in California. 65 hours of deep snow, thick mud, swift creek crossings, sand, and grit. During a race like this, sleep deprivation, calorie chasing, and consistent moving time was my main objective. Not worrying about components or mechanicals. This is where the AM 930s just worked. They were burly enough to handle chunky single track with heavy bikepacking loads, light enough to roll fast and stay nimble, and a perfect balance of flex and stiffness you only get from quality materials and expert wheel building. That was just the appetizer. The main course was served up with the 2023 Pinyons Pines 500 Ultra Endurance Bikepacking Race. This wheel set carried me through 4 days, 17 hours, and 30 minutes of hand-numbing two-track chunk, pounding rain with slick muddy descents, flash flood river crossings, legendary death mud, and winding Arizona Trail single track. On the 526-mile route, sheared off crank arms and exploded pinion gearboxes were only a few of the equipment casualties I witnessed or heard through the bikepacking game of telephone.
Whew. It's pretty endless, the old death mud.
As I trudged through the thick caliche mud and repeatedly cleaned it off the drivetrain, fork, wheels, and hubs, I thought, well, I'm sold. This is the last wheel set I'm ever gonna need. Okay, now that you have a little backstory, let's recap some of the high-level pros and cons. Some of the pros of using Light Bicycle. They have an easy-to-use website with granular component filtering. They have amazing customer service, sometimes with direct-to-consumer companies that have robust web-based online ordering systems, you lose some of the customer service. I found this was quite the opposite with my experience. The customer service was excellent and not overwhelming. The value is amazing. You get quality, durability, consistency, and a fair price. The Pro Level rims offer a lifetime warranty, and as I mentioned before, this is a big one for me. All right, let's talk about a few of the cons of Light Bicycle. You can't walk into a brick and mortar bike shop. This may be a con for some, but it's not for me. You likely need to know a little bit about your current wheel or bike specifications in order to select the right components. I decided to get more clarity on this, so I emailed Light Bicycle, and they said that for riders that are unsure of their bike specs, their team is experienced enough to be able to nail down these technical specifications, usually by collecting key information from riders. So you can send them the year, make, and model of your bike, and they'll look up the specs for you, using the manufacturer resources and even getting actual bike measurements. So this seems they have this part figured out pretty well. Another potential con is they make only carbon wheels, which carbon does have a stiffer feel. I personally have become accustomed to the feel of carbon wheels, especially on a titanium frame. There's something about the combination of the two. But if you do like the aluminum wheel feel, you won't get it with Light Bicycle. They also offer other carbon components like carbon spokes, carbon drop bars, and they actually have a carbon frame that they offer. Another potential con is they will cost more than aluminum. So I mentioned the great value earlier. Aluminum wheels are cheaper raw materials and less expensive to make, so they're inherently going to cost less than carbon. So if you're comparing Light Bicycle carbon wheels to a pair of budget aluminum wheels, the budget aluminum wheels are going to be less expensive. So my overall verdict is Billy the Kid was right. I had a hard time finding bad things to say about Light Bicycle. My experience has been so pleasant and the wheel is so reliable that I plan to upgrade my gravel bike from the stock aluminum wheels to the Falcon Pro wheel set soon. that's offered on Light Bicycle's website. So that wraps up this installment of my gear review series. If you purchased from Light Bicycle, hit up those comments and let me know if you've had the same experience as I have. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching, and remember to plan, pack, and pedal.